In the pursuit of learning, every day, something is added. In pursuit of Tao, every day, something is dropped. Lao Tzu. Modern life has become impossibly complicated. You have more possessions than any human in history. More commitments, more goals, more complexity. Yet you're more stressed than ever, more anxious, more exhausted. The ancient Taoists understood something we've forgotten. Simplicity is the highest sophistication. Removing what doesn't serve is the path to peace. Lao Tzu taught that the journey to fulfillment isn't about adding more. It's about removing what's unnecessary. Most people believe that more equals better. More money, more status, more possessions, more achievements. Modern culture teaches this relentlessly. But the Taoists discovered something different. More actually equals less. Less peace, less time, less freedom, less joy. The person with many possessions is burdened by their protection. The person with many commitments is enslaved by their demands. The person with many goals is constantly failing at most of them. The person with many relationships is stretched too thin to be present in any. There's a fundamental misunderstanding about what creates fulfillment. It's not having more. It's having what aligns with who you actually are. There's a Taoist story about two men. One was wealthy and accomplished. His home was filled with beautiful things. His schedule was filled with important activities. He had status and respect. But he had no peace. He worried constantly about protecting his possessions. He stressed about maintaining his status. He was imprisoned by abundance. The other man was simple. He owned little. He had few commitments, no status to maintain. But he had profound peace. He had freedom. He had time. He had presence. When asked the secret, the simple man said, "I have only what I need. I do only what matters. Therefore nothing weighs me down. I am free." The wealthy man laughed at first. This seemed foolish. How could having less be better? But as years passed, the wealthy man watched his life slip away. Meanwhile, the simple man seemed to experience more joy in one day than the wealthy man experienced in a year. Finally, the wealthy man asked to learn. To his surprise, the simple man's first teaching was subtraction, not addition. Principle 1. Awareness of excess. This is the principle that Lao Tzu emphasized. Your life isn't about adding practices or possessions. Your life is about removing what doesn't serve. This is counterintuitive for modern people. We're taught to accumulate, to add, to expand. But the Taoists teach the opposite. The path to freedom is through subtraction. The path to peace is through simplification. Look at your home right now. How much of what you own do you actually use? Most studies show that people use only about 20% of what they own. The rest is just weight. Just things requiring storage, maintenance, protection, and anxiety. These possessions don't serve you. They burden you. Yet you keep them. Why? Because you've been taught that having things equals being somebody. Your possessions become your identity. But this is false. What you own doesn't determine who you are. What you own often prevents you from becoming who you could be. Your possessions weigh you down. They anchor you. They prevent you from moving freely through life. Principle 2. Simplification begins with possessions. This is the easiest place to begin removing. Pick one category. Clothes, books, dishes, anything. Look at everything in that category. Ask yourself, do I use this? Does this bring me joy? Does this serve my life? If the answer is no to all three, remove it. Give it away. Sell it. Get it out of your space. You'll be surprised how liberating this feels. Each removed item is like removing a weight you didn't know you were carrying. The Tao Te Ching teaches that the usefulness of a cup is not the cup itself, but the emptiness inside. Without empty space, the cup is worthless. Similarly, without empty time and space in your life is worthless. You're too full of things and activities to actually be present, to actually live. Simplification creates space. Space for what actually matters. Space for presence. Space for peace. This principle transforms everything about how you relate to your environment and your life. Principle 3. Beyond possessions to commitments. Simplification extends beyond possessions to commitments. Most people are overcommitted. They say yes to everything, every request, every obligation, every opportunity. They believe if they're not constantly doing, they're not valuable. But this is backwards. You're most valuable when you're fully present in what you're doing. When you say yes to everything, you're actually saying no to presence. You're saying no to depth. You're saying no to anything that requires real commitment. Simple living means saying no to most things. It means having fewer but deeper commitments, fewer but more meaningful relationships, fewer but more valuable possessions. This selectivity is what creates meaning. When everything is important, nothing is important. When you're doing everything, you're doing nothing well. Principle 4. Simplifying goals. Many commitments survive only because of obligation and habit. They don't actually serve you. They don't align with your values. They're just weight. When you remove them, you feel immediate relief. The same is true for goals. Modern culture teaches you to have many goals. Financial goals, relationship goals, health goals, achievement goals. But the Taoists teach something different. They teach doing what flows naturally. They teach alignment rather than striving. When you're aligned with who you actually are and what actually matters to you, goals aren't necessary. You're simply being yourself, and what needs to happen happens naturally. This doesn't mean you become passive, but your action flows from alignment, not from ambition. You're not constantly pushing against the current, trying to achieve what you think you should achieve. You're flowing with the current. You're doing what's yours to do. This is the difference between force and ease. Force exhausts you. Ease sustains you. Simplification removes the unnecessary force from your life. When you simplify your goals to what actually matters, your life becomes more sustainable. Your peace becomes more stable. Principle 5. Simplifying work. Simple living also means simple work. The Taoists understood that the right work is the work that aligns with who you are. Not the highest paying work, not the most prestigious work, not the work that impresses people, but the work that fits you. When your work aligns with your nature, it doesn't feel like work. When it doesn't align, every day is suffering, regardless of how much you're paid. Many people spend their lives in jobs that don't serve them, because they believe they should, because it provides status, because it pays well. But the Taoists understood something essential. A life spent in misaligned work is a life spent in prison. No amount of money compensates for that. When you simplify your life and your expectations, you can often afford to do work that actually fits you, that actually brings meaning, that actually aligns with your values. This is the gift of simplification. You become able to choose alignment over achievement. You become able to choose meaning over money. Your work becomes part of your peace instead of the source of your suffering. Principle 6. Mental simplification. Beyond external simplification, the Taoists understood the importance of mental simplification. A simple mind is a peaceful mind. But the modern mind is cluttered. It's full of worries about the future, regrets about the past, judgments about people and situations. This mental clutter creates constant suffering. But when you simplify your mind, when you remove unnecessary thoughts, peace emerges naturally. Mental simplification happens through practice. It happens through learning to notice thoughts without believing them, through learning to let thoughts pass without engaging them. This mental clutter creates constant suffering. But when you simplify your mind, when you remove unnecessary thoughts, peace emerges naturally. Mental simplification happens through practice. It happens through learning to notice thoughts without believing them, through learning to let thoughts pass without engaging them. This is meditation, not as mysticism, but as practical simplification of mind. Each thought you release is like removing clutter. Each moment of mental stillness is like creating empty space. In that emptiness, peace lives. The practice is noticing when your mind is cluttered with unnecessary thinking, noticing when you're worried about things that aren't happening, noticing when you're planning things that may never occur, and then consciously releasing these thoughts, letting them pass, creating space. Principle 7. Simplicity in relationships. Simplification also applies to relationships. Modern people pride themselves on having many friends and connections. But the Taoists understood that fewer deeper relationships are infinitely better than many shallow ones. When you simplify your relationships, you have more presence for the people who matter. You have more energy for depth. You have more capacity for authentic connection. The person with 5 deep relationships is richer than the person with 50 shallow ones. Simplification means being selective about your relationships. It means investing deeply in people who reciprocate. It means being willing to let go of relationships that don't serve mutual growth. This doesn't mean being cold or rejecting, but it means being honest about which relationships energize you and which drain you. When you simplify your relationships, the remaining ones deepen. The people in your life feel more valued because they receive more of your presence. Your peace increases because you're not spreading yourself thin. Principle 8. Information simplification. Another modern complexity is information overload. Your mind is drowning in input: news, social media, conversations, books, podcasts. All of this adds to the mental clutter. Modern life exposes you to far more information than any human in history. One of the most powerful ways to simplify your life is to consciously limit information input. You don't need to consume all the news. You don't need to be up to date on all trends. You don't need to read all the interesting articles. You don't need to follow all the people. The Taoist principle is simplification. Just as you simplify your possessions, simplify your information input. Reduce news consumption. Reduce social media. Reduce the constant stream of information trying to crowd your mind. Notice how your mind clarifies with less input. This simplification of information creates space for what actually matters. It creates space for presence. It creates space for peace. When your mind isn't constantly fed with new information, you have the capacity to go deeper with what you actually care about. Principle 9. Simplicity in time. The crowded life also comes from trying to do too much at once. Multitasking, constant switching, constant distraction. Your time is fragmented. Each moment you're thinking about something else. This constant incompleteness creates a subconscious anxiety, a feeling that something is always undone, a crowdedness from never fully being anywhere. The Taoist practice is the opposite. It's focusing on one thing, actually being present with one activity. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you work, work. Don't eat while thinking about something else. Don't walk while mentally planning. Don't work while emotionally being somewhere else. This single-pointed focus is radically different from how modern people live, and it clears the crowd remarkably. There's a story of a Taoist master who performed his daily tasks with complete presence. He walked like he was just walking. He ate like he was just eating. He worked like he was just working. A student asked him why he didn't think about other things while doing these activities. The master said, "While I'm walking, where would my mind be? If it's with something other than walking, am I really walking? My mind is always with what I'm doing. Therefore, my mind is never crowded with things I'm not doing. This is the practice. This is the cure. It's not about achieving some special meditative state. It's about being where you are, about doing what you're doing, about keeping your mind with what's actually happening instead of where it could be or should be or wishes it was. When you do this, the crowd that comes from incompleteness disappears." Principle 10. The joy of enough. The highest principle of simple living is knowing you have enough. The Tao Te Ching teaches that the sage is content with what he has. He doesn't need more. This contentment with simplicity is the foundation of inner peace that wealth cannot buy. Most people have much more than enough, but they don't know they have enough. They always want more. More money, more status, more possessions, more achievements. This endless wanting prevents them from enjoying what they have. It prevents them from appreciating their actual life. But when you simplify to what's actually essential, when you align with what actually matters, you finally know you have enough. And knowing you have enough is the same as being rich. The person with little who knows they have enough is richer than the person with much who always wants more. This knowledge transforms everything. It transforms your relationship with your possessions. It transforms your relationship with your time. It transforms your relationship with your life. Simple living is ecological. When you buy less, consume less, waste less, the planet benefits. Simple living is healthy. When you stress less about maintaining status and possessions and goals that don't serve you, your body relaxes. Your nervous system calms. Your immunity improves. Simple living is freeing. When you're not enslaved by obligations and possessions and goals that don't serve you, you're actually free. Free to be yourself. Free to pursue what matters. Free to live according to your values instead of society's demands. This freedom is profound. The practice of simple living begins now, not tomorrow, not after circumstances change, but now, with your actual life, with your actual circumstances. Principle 11. The practice of subtraction. Begin your practice of simple living with subtraction, not addition, not accumulation, but removal. This is the radical teaching that most people miss. They think simplicity requires special practices or knowledge, but simplicity just requires removing what doesn't serve. Start with your home. Pick one category, one room, one area. Look at everything. Ask, do I need this? Do I use this? Does this bring me joy? Remove what doesn't pass the test. Notice how you feel. Notice the space that's created. Continue with one area. Don't try to simplify everything at once. Build slowly. Over time, your home becomes simpler. Your space becomes clearer. Your peace becomes deeper. Then move to commitments. Look at your calendar. Look at your obligations. Ask, do I genuinely care about this? Does this align with my values? Remove what doesn't. Start with one commitment. Just one. Notice how your time opens. Notice how your energy returns. Then add another. Build slowly. One by one, you simplify your life. Finally, look at your mind. Notice unnecessary thoughts. Notice worry about the future. Notice regret about the past. Notice judgment about people and situations. Each time you notice, release it. Don't engage it. Let it pass. This practice of mental simplification compounds. Day by day, your mind becomes clearer. Your peace becomes deeper. Your life becomes simpler. And from that simplicity, freedom emerges. Freedom you didn't know was possible. Freedom that was always available but hidden beneath the clutter. The Tao Te Ching says the path to happiness lies in simplicity and in alignment, not in accumulation and enforcing. This simple truth is one of the most important things you can understand. When you truly understand it, your entire life changes. You start making decisions based on peace rather than on external results. You start valuing alignment over achievement. You start choosing simplicity over complexity. You start practicing presence over productivity. And in this shift, inner peace becomes possible. The journey of simplification begins with awareness, with noticing what's excess in your life, with recognizing that you've been carrying unnecessary weight. Then comes acceptance. Acceptance that more hasn't made you happy, that complexity hasn't brought peace, that busyness hasn't brought fulfillment. Then comes action, the practice of removal. One item, one commitment, one thought at a time. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to begin. You just need to start removing what doesn't serve. And notice what emerges as you do. Most people wait until they're completely exhausted before they start simplifying. They wait until they've collapsed, until they're sick, until they've lost themselves. Then they swing to the other extreme and become harsh with everything. But the wise approach is to start now, before you're completely depleted, before you resent everyone in your life. Begin by identifying one area that's overcomplicated. One possession category, one commitment, one mental pattern. This is your starting point. This is where you practice removal. This is where you begin experiencing the freedom of simplification. Notice how you feel as you simplify this one area. Notice the relief. Notice the space that's created. This is your evidence that simplification works. This is your invitation to continue. Simple living isn't about deprivation. It's about clarity. It's about having space for what matters. It's about being able to give your full presence to what you value. It's about freedom. The ancient Taoists lived simply not because they were poor, but because they understood what created peace, what created freedom, what created the space for presence and joy. They simplified so they could give full attention to what mattered, so they could be fully alive in each moment. This is available to you. This simplicity, this freedom, this peace. Not someday. Now. Begin today, not tomorrow. Not after circumstances improve. Today. Choose one category. Practice removing something consciously. Notice how practicing it affects your inner peace. Feel the shift. Feel the relief. Feel the difference. You've just experienced the power of simplification. Continue practicing. Choose another area. Add it to your practice. Build slowly. Over weeks and months, the practice becomes natural. The principles become your baseline. Simple living becomes your baseline. The goal of simple life is realized through consistent practice of these basic principles. The Tao Te Ching teaches, from simplicity comes clarity. From clarity comes wisdom. From wisdom comes peace. The simplicity is the foundation. The principles create the simplicity. Everything else flows from that. The principles are everything. Your true nature is simple. The complexity is a distortion of your true nature. When you practice these principles, you're returning to your natural state of simplicity that complexity had temporarily obscured. This return is natural. This return is available. This return is what you've been seeking. The journey of simple life begins with awareness of what doesn't serve. Then, acceptance of the reality that you've been carrying unnecessary weight. Then, the practice of removal. Then, the integration of simplicity into your natural way of being. This is the path. This is the way available to you. Begin now. Choose simplicity. The peace you seek through simple living is not far away. It's in the next moment, in the next choice. When you practice these principles, you're choosing simplicity. Right now. Available. Here. Every moment offers the opportunity to continue the old patterns or to choose simplicity, to stay where you are or to begin the journey. Your choice now affects your entire future. Simple living is available. Not someday. Now. This is your moment. This is your beginning. Thank you for watching this exploration of simple life. If this teaching resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more Taoist wisdom on simplification, alignment, and discovering the inner peace available through simple living instead of searching forever in external complexity. The journey continues with each decision, with each removed item, with each simplified commitment, with each moment of alignment. You are the gardener of your own life. You choose what to plant. You choose what to water. You choose what to harvest. Simple living is about being a wise gardener, tending what matters, removing what doesn't, creating space for what's essential. Begin now. This is your power. This is your freedom. This is your peace. The more you practice, the more stable your peace becomes. Initial practice creates glimpses of peace. Consistent practice creates consistent peace. Years of practice create unshakable peace. But all of this starts with the first principle, the first practice, the first moment of choosing simplicity over complexity. You are not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need reminding of what the ancient Taoists knew. That peace is your natural state when you're aligned. That suffering is caused by misalignment, not by circumstances. That these principles, when practiced, create the alignment that peace requires. The principles are the answer to your suffering, not someday through complex practices, but now through simple principles applied consistently. You have everything you need. You don't need to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need special circumstances. Begin now. Choose simplicity. Choose peace. Choose the path of the Tao. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if exploring the ancient philosophy of simple life through Taoist wisdom resonated with you, and you want more ancient teachings on returning to fundamentals, practicing simple principles, and discovering the inner peace available through simplification instead of searching forever in external complexity that never delivers the peace you actually seek.